Nunca me pasó por la cabeza que nosotros nos íbamos a destacar como negocio a nivel nacional.
My Steve Jobs is my mom. You know, I've seen her ups and downs throughout my entire life. And I've seen her start a egg selling business in Guatemala, a carpet cleaning business, a bus driver, cleaning schools. I've seen her start 2 restaurants. So seeing her go dealing with failure multiple times has shaped me.
Que fue cuando dejé Guatemala esta última vez. Fue bien difícil. Y ese momento que es para mí uno de los más que me ha tocado fuerte es que Prensa Libre nos diera una página allá y que nombraran Café Kacao como estamos haciendo que la gastronomía de Guatemala se oiga. Varias revistas importantes, canales, premios. Ha sido mucho.
The food in Guatemala is amazing. And my connection with food is really inspired by my mom's journey. Even when we were a very low-income family in Guatemala City, my mom would always plate our food like if we were at a restaurant. And even if it was just eggs, beans, and plantains, it was just beautifully presented. And it was pretty amazing growing up that way. So growing up in Guatemala teaches you grit. It's considered to be a third world country, but it taught us a lot on what it is to be an immigrant. My mom had a business. She saw an opportunity when she was picking me up from school. There was one bus, this gentleman that was taking kids to school, and she noticed that he had no more space for more kids. So then she had a small van, and she said, well, I could take just a couple kids in my car when I pick up my son. So she started approaching other ladies in our neighborhood and telling them, hey, I'm picking up my kid, I'll bring your kid for a few quetzales. And people trusted her more as a woman, you know, and her being the neighbor. With time, she saved up enough money to buy a small bus. Quickly, that we went from 6 kids, that route grew to about 81 kids, which is pretty amazing. In the year 2002, when my mom decided it was time for us to move back to California, and it was quite the journey for me being a child and really processing that we're leaving everything behind. We're selling everything we own. My mom by herself with 3 children. My uncle gave us a place to stay, so we were living with him. My mom wanted to start a house cleaning business. I remember going out with her and dropping off business cards about cleaning houses. And just as we're about to start our life again in California, our uncle kicked us out of this house. My mom had been talking to a cousin here in Oklahoma, and she was telling her how the cost of living here in Oklahoma was drastically different. We slept in the car that night in California. My mom had, I think it was $1,200 left in her pocket at that time. And she said, well, I got a car, I have $1,200. We're going to Oklahoma. And as the years go by, she says to herself, I'm going to do a restaurant again. My first one wasn't a success, but I'm going to do it again. And so we signed a lease without having the funds to open the restaurant. And we remodeled this space in about a week. And we turned it into that first iteration that came to be Cafe Kacao.
No fue enfocado tanto en una inspiración de soñar en algo grande. Mi primera inspiración era tener medios para que mis hijos se alimentaran.
And during our first 3 years, we made every mistake, but we learned to adapt. And I remember being very overwhelmed. I knew service, right? I had served tables for many years, So I knew that. I didn't know how to be a leader. I remember those first days of operation that were challenging, and my mom tells me, what are you looking for when you look at this dining room? And I was like, well, if they have waters, do they have coffee? Do they have a plate in front of them? She's like, no, you should be looking for smiles. If you see a smile, you're doing a great job. And that was like my first lesson in hospitality, right? Part of being an entrepreneur is learning to adapt. Very few industries have to change so often. The food industry is one of those where you have to stay with the times, you have to stay relevant. It's another challenge which we have to adapt to. It just makes me embrace my background. For a good amount of time, I thought that because I wasn't born here or because my English is not that great, I saw those as setbacks. But through our journey as entrepreneurs, as immigrants, we've learned that those are not drawbacks, right? They're strengths. And we've learned to embrace those qualities of ourselves that we don't see as setbacks anymore. We know 2 languages. We've endured more hardship than the average entrepreneur that was already here. We've started from zero multiple times. So those challenges have only made us stronger.